CareAcademy is an online platform that provides caregivers with short, bite-sized videos so that they can deliver excellent care. So it's just making education, online education, really accessible for the caregiver so that they get everything that they need, a robust toolbox to be able to provide care for our loved ones. Officially, 20,000 caregivers all over the country right now.
Wow.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much,
So
Kevin.
how do people buy it on a subscription or a one-time basis? How does that happen?
That great question. So, Jeffrey,
Chris must have written it for me.
So the way that works is we partner with home care agencies
Right.
who are, really just see the need for providing tools and alternatives for education for their caregivers, such as Kevin.
Right.
And we partner with them, and we work hand in hand to really kind of build out the content, figure out what the gaps are, the needs of the clients are, and then really build the curriculum from there, and then deliver that online. All of the classes are created in-house by our company. My co-founder is a geriatrician and a practicing geriatrician, and also an assistant professor at Harvard Medical School. I went to Harvard for education and graduated from the education school. And so the confluence of both of our roles was just the need to provide something much more robust for caregivers. I've been a caregiver myself, as well as getting some of that clinical background in of that content. So yeah, I definitely consider myself an entrepreneur. I'm actually a third generation entrepreneur.
Wow.
Yeah, all of the women in sort of our lineage have always, been in entrepreneurship in some way. It started with my great grandmother who was, selling textiles, to my grandmothers who were, who now own 2 or 3 shops in Lagos and are selling clothes, and my aunt who does that as well. And my dad came to this country as an entrepreneur as well. So the evolution of CareAcademy was just a confluence of my own experience and some of the things that I wanted to do in the world. We're a really mission and impact-driven company. And so when I was in high school and throughout graduate school, I was also a caregiver. Caregiving is the kind of work that you come in and out of, and you do it often because you care for the folks you're working with. And there are days that I'm very upfront about it too when I tell the stories. But I'd walk into my clients' homes, and there'd be a family member there who's like just relieved to see somebody who's going to come in and help them. But I often felt, and I knew that I did not know what the hell I was doing, right? So it was this moment where you know that you are lacking, and I wanted something more. And often I didn't have the support, so you'd have maybe a nurse or an administrative nurse who you can get on the phone with and can walk you through some procedures. But I was often, just out of luck. I was using YouTube videos and things like that. So knew that we could do much better, and there needed to be a lot more, especially when you're talking about we're, as a country and as globally, we're in a situation where people are aging rapidly and expect to remain in the home. We need a lot more resources for caregivers. Right now for us, that looks like having something for the professional caregiver, but we are also now expanding and talking through what does the evolution of CareAcademy look like for the family caregiver. So we're going full circle. We know that caregivers increasingly need a lot more skills, especially as the complexity of aging grows. So that's really the evolution of CareAcademy and the way we're situated. So I come from policy and education. I used to be in the classroom. My first job was with Teach for America. Really, great organization. Went back to Atlanta to teach high school. Also did not know what I was doing as a high school teacher, but figured it out. I also worked on the Hill on education policy. And after I finished up grad school, I had the decision to make to either go back to DC and kind of, work in the ivory tower. And kudos to folks who do policy work, but you can also get in the trenches. And I prefer, being in the trenches. So CareAcademy is the evolution, I think, of what people are realizing in terms of the importance of the caregiver. I would say, and Kevin, about this way more than I do, and you're also in the trenches of this too. But long-term care is something that we just started thinking about in the 20th century. As a policy person, I think about sociology, I think about history. And in terms of caregiving, in-home caregiving really kind of came about as an industry in the last 30 to 40 years. And it's getting into a place of maturation by will of the fact that you now have a population of folks, or 10,000 in this country, who are turning 65 years or older and who have greater needs. So CareAcademy doesn't exist to bring about necessarily more caregivers. Kevin and other providers do a really great job of finding caregivers, bringing them, coaching them. But we are a resource both for the business owners who work with caregivers as well as the caregivers, and that's how we're positioned as just something that is going to take caregiving to the next level as we enter this sort of second phase of caregiving. The needs are greater. The population who needs the caregivers is growing as well. So we're really helping bring about education at scale. The other piece that we talk about is just sort of upskilling. How do we think about the role of the caregiver and the needs of the client, and how to match make between those, especially in the just-in-time piece? How do we, provide a lot of the tools that I needed as a caregiver exactly when a caregiver needs them? So that's something also that we talk about, and we're positioned to help in. Working with folks like Kevin and really trying to figure out, we believe this is a movement, right? It's a movement that's happening, whether or not that, we're ready. And we want to make sure that we're ready for this, whole set of folks who are graying to do so successfully and to do so with the help of the right people, and to make sure as people are entering this, into caregiving. There's a really great company called Home Care Pulse that puts out a really great survey. I think you've been recognized by Home Care Pulse, Kevin. Mm-hmm. But it puts out a really great report of just sort of the needs of caregivers. And we just know over and over again that caregivers need those supports. They want to be recognized, in terms of the work that they do. And so we want to figure out ways in which we can support and recognize and help caregivers kind of get to the next level to meet the demand that's coming up. So that's what's next. We want to work with, as many people as possible so we can really, charge the movement that's happening right now. We don't see ourselves as a replacement for in-person training, right? I believe as an educator that, we're getting into a place where we're recognizing the need to be lifelong learners, right? We're learning always and continuously about how to do the work that we do and we're passionate about better. And the in-person definitely has its place. We believe that good in-person training supplemented by that just-in-time, having something that is also, meets caregivers where they are and when they need supports is absolutely necessary. And so that's what we're exactly hearing from agency owners, that and they're really relieved to hear that it's not sort of an either or proposition. We actually modify our curriculum and our technology to also take into consideration the needs first of the caregiver and the agency, right? How do we make sure that if you are using our training platform, we're also taking into consideration all the other things that you come with as a caregiver, the things that you're learning with Best of Care, and making sure that it lives together with any of the training that you receive from CareAcademy.